Hey everybody, this is Unit 4, Formative 1. We're going to talk about zero and negative exponents. Okay, so for those of you that are unfamiliar with an exponent is, it's going to be the number that is the smaller number, and it's going to be called, another word for it is called a power. So this right here, the 2, would be the exponent, and it means that we're going to take 7 times 7 twice because the exponent is a 2. And 7 times 7 is 49. So 7 to the second power would be just 49. Now 3 to the third power does not mean 3 times 3. Okay? It means we're going to take 3 and we're going to multiply it by itself 3 times because the exponent is 3. If it was 3 to the fourth, we'd add another 3 there. And so then we take 3 times 3, which is 9. And then 9 times 3 gives me 27. So 3 to the third power is 27. Okay? So that's what an exponent does. It multiplies a number by itself a certain number of times. Okay, so now we're going to look at a zero exponent. This is something that you've never seen before. So 8 to anything to the zero exponent is just going to be 1. So 8 to the 0 power is going to be 1. Okay? X to the 0 power is going to be 1. 2a over b, all raised to the 0 power, is going to be 1. And 3a cubed times b, all raised to the 0 power, is also going to be 1. So anything that has an exponent of 0, okay, is going to be 1. Now these last two simplified to 1 because the whole thing here was in parentheses, so that means that whole thing here became a 1. Same thing with this one. If the parentheses wasn't there, then it would be a different situation, and we'll talk about that later. Alright, did you know that ketchup was sold in the 1830s as medicine? Alright, now we're going to talk about negative exponents. Okay, so negative exponents are something we never want to have. So negative exponents are bad. We want to get rid of them. Okay, and the way to get rid of them is we're going to think of them as being in a fraction. And if they're on the top of a fraction, we're going to move them to the bottom. And if they're on the bottom of a fraction, we're going to move them to the top. Okay, so if we look at this first problem here, we have x to the negative third. All right, well, let's put that over 1. And now you can see that x to the negative third is actually on the top of the fraction. So to get rid of the negative exponent, we're going to move it to the bottom. So draw your fraction line. And now x to the negative third is going to move down here because that will make it x to the positive third power. Okay? And then we just put a 1 on top as a placeholder, and there's your answer. So negative exponents, we don't want them. They're bad. Get rid of them. Okay? And move them. If they're on the top, move them to the bottom. If they're on the bottom, move them to the top. Okay, number 2. Y to the negative fifth. Put it over 1. And now you can see that we have a fraction here, and y to the negative fifth is on the top. So to move it, we'd have to move it to the bottom, and then it'd become y to the positive fifth. So nothing changes except for the fact that we get rid of the negative on the exponent. Okay, the y doesn't become negative, just the exponent becomes positive. And then a 1 goes on top as a placeholder. All right, and number 3 here. Now this time we have a to the negative second, and it's on the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so we didn't have to put a 1 there because it was already as a fraction. But now to make the a to the negative second positive, we're going to move it up top. So now it becomes a to the positive second, and then we can put a 1 on the bottom as a placeholder, or we can just write this as a to the second. Okay, so either one of these answers would be correct. All right, so negative exponents, remember we want to move to make them positive. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You're moving to make the exponent positive. All right, and our last 2 examples here. These get a little bit more difficult because there's a couple things you have to look for. Okay, so first of all, I see a fraction, so I'm going to draw myself a fraction line. And then I'm going to start asking myself whether the thing stays or if it moves from where it is. Because I'm going to ask myself, does it have a negative exponent or a positive? Okay, well, 2. All right, the exponent on the 2 is actually just a 1. That 0 goes with the a. So the 2 is going to stay right where it is. It's going to stay up top. Okay, and then a to the 0. What did we say happens with anything to the 0 power? Well, it's going to become a 1. So really, I just have 2 times 1 up top. Or if I just don't want to mess around with it, I don't even need to write that because 1 just doesn't change anything. So a to the 0 just kind of disappears or becomes a 1. And then b to the negative third is on the bottom. Okay, so to get rid of that negative exponent, it needs to move, so it needs to move up top. So we're going to write b to the positive third right there. And remember that a to the 0 went away because it became 1. And then we can put a 1 on the bottom, or we can just write this as 2b to the third. Either one is fine. All right, number 2, draw your fraction line and start looking at what you have here. You have 3 to the negative second power. Okay, so where is this going to go? Well, it's a negative exponent, so that means it has to move from where it is, so it needs to move to the bottom to make it a positive exponent, so we get 3 to the positive second power. Okay, b to the negative fourth is negative, so we want to move that to make it positive. We're going to put it on the bottom, make it b to the positive fourth. And then a to the negative third is on the bottom. We want to make that positive here, so we're going to move it to the top and make that a to the positive third. Okay, and one last step here. A to the third does not simplify at all any further. B to the fourth doesn't simplify any further. But 3 to the second, if you remember when we first started this video, is 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. So really that just becomes a 9 on the bottom there. And there would be your answer. All right, and there is your video on 0 and negative exponents. Make sure you took notes, and we will see you later.